Hello everyone, I'm Neil Sawant and my project is Emotion AI with my partner Shreya Chittari and our guide being Mr. Vahid Pesdan. Emotion AI. So what is Emotion AI? Emotion AI refers to artificial intelligence that detects and interprets human emotion signals such as happiness, sadness, disgust, surprise, and etc. The last thing a human expects is to replicate his own behavior or expression, and we are trying to build a model to predict one. The project focuses on two major points, which are fa- keep point facial detection and facial expression prediction. Our project revolves around the following key points: key facial point detection, facial expressions detection, artificial neural networks, gradient descent algorithm, convolutional neural networks, ResNets, training and testing data, and serve trained model in TensorFlow.
Hi guys, this is Shreya. We got our dataset from Kaggle. So our dataset consists of 15 facial key points and which has both X and Y coordinates. And the images are in the form of 96 by 96 pixels. And all the images are grayscale. Uh, so these are the libraries we used in our code. So we use TensorFlow 2.0 with Keras for training the model and building the model. And we use Seaborn for visualization. And this PIL is this will deal with image. And so here we loaded our data set, and we have 1 second. So if you go into our next slide, these are all the data sets, these are all the variables we have. Like we have around 15 variables, which has both X and Y, like left eye center, right eye center, so on, etc. If you go into our code, we have around 2,140 rows and 31 columns. As I said, these are all the variables we have, and we don't have any null values. So if you see, our last column is image. 1 second. This image, it ranges from 0 to 255, 0 being the black or the darkest, and 255 being the light or the white, and things, all the things in between will be gray. So here, if you see, the shape of that data frame, it is 2140. It is in the form of string, and we need to convert or reshape into 96 by 96 pixels. So with using lambda function and np.fromString, we can reshape it. So if you see the shape of it, now it is 96 by 96. Coming to visualization, let's go into next slide. So this is image visualization. So basically what we did in image visualization is that we just took a random image and plotted it, and we identify all the key points, all the key facial points, and plotted them on a graph. And so if you go into the code, so in these first two lines, what I did is I just generated a random integer that is with random.int, and I plotted an image, and it is gray. Next, what I did is I created a loop. In the loop, actually what we have is like uh, we have we have X and Y for everything. Every variable we have X and Y coordinate. So this loop will give X and Y coordinates of all the variables. So X coordinate are in even columns like 0, 2, 4, and Y coordinates are in odd columns. Uh, so this iteration helps in getting all the X and Y coordinates and helps us in plotting the graph. And if you see here, it's like R and X. It means with red color, we are plotting the points in the form of X shape. And if you go down, if you see here, it's I'm viewing all the images in a grid format. Like this is 4x4 grid format. Like 16 images are seen at once. We go down, it's 8x8 grid format. There are like 64 images in it. Now Neil Sawant will continue with augmentation.
Okay, so moving on to augmentation, we need to follow certain rules. And some of them are like first we obtain the columns in the data frame, and then we flip the image across the y-axis so that as we flip it across the y-axis, we don't change the coordinates, and then we concatenate the images into a single data frame, and then do some tweaks and some changes to it. Now moving to the coding part, we encode the we make a copy of the data frame using key facial df, and then we get the columns from the data frame, which are left eye center, right eye inner corner, and all the variables which we had before. And then we move on to flipping the data. So we flip our data across the y-axis using np.flip. So since we are flipping it around horizontally across the y-axis, the values would be same. So only the x-coordinate values would change, and all we have to do is just subtract our initial x-coordinate values from the width of the image, that is the 96 pixel. And then using the lambda function, we get all of that. Now moving on to the next part is that we plot the original image. So we plot it across the 96 by 96 grid using plt.imshow, and then we horizontally flip the image. We flip the image, and so that now we have two images. Now what we do is we concatenate it, and we store it into a augmented data frame using np.concatenate. And from this, we try to find the shape of it, which is 4280, which is exactly double of 2140, in which we had a single image. After this, we move on to making some changes to the image. That is, we increase the brightness. So usually 0 is black and 255 is white. So we can multiply it randomly by pixel values between 1 and 2, so that we could get different brightness levels and image accordingly. From this, what we get is like we get to visualize the image in different environments and what it is gonna be. And from that, we get the image with the increased brightness, which is nearly equal to 255. As you can see, this image is white. And then we decrease the image, so which is near to the 0 value. So the image here is gray in color. Now, Shreya will move on to the data normalization part.
As Neil told, we did a lot of changes like flipping horizontally, increasing the brightness, decreasing the brightness, etc. in this image augmentation. So like we have a lot more than the original data. We have concatenated everything in it. So it's like more than 8,000 8,000 rows in our data set. So in increasing and decreasing the brightness, what we are actually doing is multiplying the pixels. So we actually want we actually want our pixel range to be between 0 to 255. So we need data normalization for that. Let's go on to the code and I'll show you how the normalization and training has done. So if you can see the data, this image IMG is nothing but the last column of our data set. And in this part, I had did the data normalization. Data normalization is just done by dividing it by 255. Then what I did is created an empty array. So it will be in the shape of 96 by 96 by 1 format to feed the model. And in this loop, iterating through the image list and adding the image values to the empty array after expanding its dimensions from 96 by 96 to 96 by 96 by 1. So next what I did is I had converted the x this empty array into float. And if you see the shape, it's actually a square model. Like it has 6420 by 96 by 96 by 1. Next, in this step, what I'm doing is getting the value of the coordinates which are used as target. So if you see this shape, it's like 6422 by 30. And next I'm splitting the training data and testing data. And the test size is 0.2. That means 20% of the samples are used as testing data. And if you see the shape of X train, it is in this way. And if you see the test shape, it is like this.
So now moving on to the next part, which is facial expression detection. The dataset consists of 5 categories, mainly anger, disgust, sad, happy, and surprise. So now we have a data set in which the emotion is classified as we had like 0 for anger and 1 as disgust. So here we have 0, 0, 2, and as follows. And then we have the pixels right over here. And then now moving on to the coding part. So in this, we define a ResNet block. So a ResNet is, as CNS grow deeper, vanishing gradient tend to occur which negatively impact network performance. ResNets work by adding identity mappings on top of CNN. ImageNet, which is a part of ResNet, contains 11 million images and 11,000 categories. We use ImageNet to train ResNet deep network. So a ResNet neural network includes skip connection feature, which enables training of 152 layers without vanishing gradient issues. So a ResNet is an artificial neural network of a kind that builds and constructs from pyramidal cells in the cerebral cortex. So in the speaking in English, we can say that it works layer by layer. So it has many layers. And then when we filter through each layer, we get our answers. Now, again, moving on to the coding part. The code usually consists of a convolutional block and then the main part of the code where we initialize the kernel and then we again identify the next layer, which is a block, and then we keep on adding it. So in this way we keep on identifying unless and until we have the whole layer ready, and then we get the shape of it, which is 96 by 96 by 1. So now we have the whole shape of our layer. And now using this, we are gonna model our project.
So here we see we will evaluate our model. So with the accuracy, with the evaluate function, we get to know the accuracy of the model. It is like 83%. And coming to how this facial expression, how we are importing and exploring the facial expression detection. Here, this is a data set. As Neil said, we have emotion ranges and what are all the pixels included for that. Now, we are like converting the string format to array format. Then we are we are reshaping it, which are in 48 to 48 to 96 to 96, and then so if you see the output, it's like this, and if you see the shape of it, it's 24,568 by 2. And if you see if we have any null values, we don't have any, and we are labeling everything like If it is 0, we get it as anger. If it is 1, we get it disgust. If it is 2, we get it sad. And for 3, happiness. And 4, surprise. So these are a few examples for all those things. So disgust, sad, happiness, surprise, etc. And we plotted a graph here, like number of images per emotion, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the number of the like number of images per emotion. And we did some data preparation and image augmentation again. And we did like training and testing data and trained our model. Neil is gonna explain the remaining part.
Okay, so now coming to the next part, here we combine both the models, which is the facial key points detection and the facial expression models. In order to do that, we define a function called predict. And in that, so in the first part, we make prediction from the key point model and then from the emotion model. And then we reshape the array from 856 to 856 comma null to 856 comma 1 using np.expand dims. And then we convert the predictions into a data frame using pd.data frame. And the next thing we do is we add emotion into the predicted data frame using df predict emotion. So with that, we get our data frame, which consists of all the variables which we had before, and along with the emotion. So now we have our expressions and our emotions, which we as discussed before, like sad, anger, despair, and as they had their key points. So here we have all of them as 3. Next, we plot the test images and their predicted key points and emotions. So as you can see, we have them plotted. And as you can see, this one, the guy looks happy. And then even the girl looks happy. And then now moving to this one is surprise. So we know that we have gained solutions to our or to whatever we have tested till now. Okay, so now after we combine both the models and we get the outputs in both the tabular and the graph form, we have our solutions. So we achieved this using the training and testing data. So the data set was generally divided into 80% for training and 20% for testing. But sometimes we might also, for visualization purpose, we might also change it into 60 to 20 to 20. That is, it goes as training, validation, and testing respectively. So the training set is used for gradient calculation and weight update. The validation set is used for cross-validation to assess training quality as training proceeds. So why cross-validation? We implement it to overcome overfitting, which occurs when algorithm focuses on training set details at cost of losing generalization ability. And then we move on to testing set, which is the 20% of the remaining data that we have trained. Now we move to the last part, which is self-trained model in TensorFlow. So let's assume that we already trained our model and it is generating good results on the testing data. But now we want to integrate our trained TensorFlow model into a web app and deploy the model like for production purposes or say for large-scale deployment. So what we know about TensorFlow? TensorFlow is a high-performance serving system for machine learning models designed for like production environments. Like we can literally get a working app with TensorFlow. So with TensorFlow, we can deploy all these new algorithms to make predictions. And in order to serve the trained models using the TensorFlow, we need to save the models in the format that is suitable for TensorFlow. Like the model should be suitable so that the TensorFlow can access the data and all the raw form from it, and then produce the final product into an app. So the model will have a version number. So TensorFlow usually has like many parts, and then which goes into a structured directory. So after the model is saved, we can use TensorFlow serving to start making inference requests using a specific version of our trained model servable. Okay, so what we conclude from our project is that we tried to plot human expression and the facial expression, and we try to get them in a tabular format from which we got to know what is the expression of a human. Like, is he sad? Is he happy? Is he angry? And so on. By doing this, we try to reflect what a human wants in an AI model. Like the last thing a human wants is to reflect his own expressions, right? So that is what we are trying to achieve in this model. We got all our data from Kaggle, and we did our project on Google Colab. And thank you. So this was a fun project to work on, and me and my partner would be glad to work on more projects like this. Thank you.